This is the part of the show where I ask for your help. Because today I'm talking about wounds, and to tell you the truth, I don't I don't have this one figured out. Usually when I hit record, I'm all fired up and and ready to go, ready to grab my spear and take on the patriarchy and general injustices. But this one I kind of think I just need to talk to you about. And I'm curious what you have to say, and even more curious if you can relate. I'm talking about wounds, the wounds we carry. And it won't come as a surprise to you that part of the reason that I'm thinking about wounds is because of astrology. So, Chiron in astrology is the wounded healer, and it's based on, the mythological story of Chiron, the centaur, who was permanently injured by some sort of arrow. I think it was poisoned arrow that he was kind of doomed forever to be poisoned by this arrow and experience the pain from it, but he also became a very powerful healer. And part of the reason that he became this healer is because of learning to live with this poison inside him, I believe. Double check the story of Chiron, Chiron, just in case I missed something. But within astrology, the idea is wherever Chiron is in your chart, and I think he's an asteroid. Again, check that because I could be wrong, but I think he's an asteroid or a minor planet. Wherever he's at in your chart is where your wounds are, where you will be wounded, but also where you will become the medicine for that wound, where you will be a wounded healer, somebody who is wounded but learns to use those tools to heal themselves and the world. And I really want to know what that looks like, because there's some forms of it that are obvious, right? There's the war veterans who go on to volunteer and help at veteran services and help, future vets. There's Alcoholics Anonymous who enter this program and go through the healing steps for that and the recovery steps for that, but then you know, they become someone who can help future alcoholics, and it's laid out. I'm not by any means suggesting that it's easy, but that's an easy concept for me to understand, that sure, you're an addict, you go through recovery, you're in recovery, you're equipped to help other addicts. Well, what does that look like outside of addiction? Because in the case of my chart, or outside, the PTSD that accompanies surviving a war, because when I look at my chart, my Chiron is in a fascinating place. It's in my seventh house of partnerships, which includes romantic partnerships, but also business partnerships, just partnerships in general. But my Chiron is also near a cluster of planets, which they call a stellium in astrology. And it's near my sun, my Mercury, and my Venus. I have Chiron near these three big planets, or not so, the sun is the sun, but right. So it's near the sun, it's near Mercury, and it's near Venus. And that means that my wound and my healing abilities are all tied to what these planets represent, which in the case of Mercury is communication and the voice, right? I certainly have some voice wounds. We know that. It's near Venus, my values, my relationship with attraction, my relationship with beauty, with sweetness, with the pleasures in life. I certainly am somebody who's felt like I have to deny myself the sweetness in life. Some of that is from my drive, but some of it is just some of the shame that I've dealt with, or just like running. There's just this guilt of trying to just enjoy life sometimes. And my sun, how I shine, the face I wear with the world. My wound is right next to all of these things. In my house of partnerships, which falls in the sign of Gemini, and we are in Gemini season, the twins, right? Gemini is the communicator, the intellectual, the one who loves to gather and share information, the jokester, the comedian, Gemini is chatty, and that certainly fits. But this is where my wound is, particularly in the area of partnerships. And that got me thinking just about what does it mean? What does it mean to have a wound like this? What does it mean to have a wound that's in the places where I'm supposed to shine, where I'm supposed to experience connection, where I'm supposed to experience partnership? Today I was talking with somebody who told me that her parents are in their 80s and they've been together their whole lives. They grew up in a small town, wanted to stay in that small town, got together young, easily met each other in that small town. And they just kind of stayed there and they've been together their whole lives. And there's a part of me that's envious of that because it seems so simple. Like, you never had to experience heartbreak. And I feel that way a lot for people who just end up with someone they met in high school. I always have mixed feelings when I meet people who just stay with their high school sweetheart. Part of it is envy because it's like, okay, you've never had to know heartbreak. Part of me judges them. Like, I'm going to be honest with you about that. I judge them because it's like, well, you're with the same person you met in high school. Like, have you grown up at all? How does that work? Like, just what, because I think about who I was in high school and who I knew in high school and hell, even college. And it's like, God, I'm so different. And, I'm going to pause because I really wanted to keep the window open because there's a breeze coming in. But I don't know if you can hear the children screaming in the background. Now, their screams are supposedly screams of joy from playing outside, but I'm finding it hard to focus. So I'm going to go ahead and close the window. And you know what? I'm not even going to pause. Like, I'm not normally like I'll pause my recording and then hit record again when there's an interruption, but I'm not going to do that because it's not that kind of night, It's the kind of night where we're just airing things, right? Where it's out in the open. So I'm going to actually just get up and shut this window, and you're going to be here for the riveting duration of it all. So here I go. I'm just going to go shut this window. Was that painful? Was it a painful silence? Awkward, maybe? Or perhaps a welcome breeze? Oh, reprieve, I was going to say. Welcome reprieve. So much for the breeze, though, huh? I was hoping to feel it a little bit, but, I'm going to be really mad if you can still hear the kids through the window. But we'll find out. One of those kids is mine, because of course it is. I have 6, right? But one of them is mine. The others are the neighbors. So we'll see what happens. But back to wounds and being judgmental, I guess. There's a part of me that, like I said, is envious of people who've just been with the person they were with in high school, and part of me who judges because it's like, you've never, because it's like I can't relate to them. It's like you've never experienced heartbreak. You've never been alone. You've never known that, so I feel a little bit of an instant divide because it's like, what is a life that seems to be that simple like? Now, I know we never have any idea what people have gone through, and I'm not going to pretend that people who've been with someone since high school don't have their own battles, because they do, and I don't know what their life entails. But it just caused me to reflect because it's like, I have so many relationship wounds. I have so many different versions of heartbreak, and it began when I was 15 years old. Like, I fell in love in high school and had that stupid, like, fairy tale romance on TV, like, obsessive kind of high school love. And he moved away. It was ripped away from me, and it broke my heart. It absolutely broke my heart. And I learned a very powerful lesson about love at that age, is that if I find it, it's going to be taken from me. And I also noticed that's when I started numbing a little bit. That's when I kind of started just kind of using relationships as a distraction, but then I get into college and I'm trying to do the right thing, because my whole life has been like a push and pull with relationships of trying to find true love and the right partnership and then rebelling against partnership in very destructive ways. It's been this back and forth, up until shortly before I met my now husband. But it wasn't just one wound. It wasn't just one heartbreak. It was, a first love leaving in high school. And then it was in college thinking I was doing the right. Well, no, then it was an abusive relationship later on in high school that I entered into when I was numbing. Then it was dealing with him stalking me, when I went to college for a while and having to learn how to change my phone number. And then it was entering into Christian relationships and trying to do the right thing and follow God's plan. And love was very much involved, right? Like, we're going to love Jesus and save the world. Well, that kind of got ripped from me too. Okay. So then there's just kind of heartbreak after heartbreak, until I started having babies with the wrong people. And I can't stress enough, don't have babies with the wrong people. Like, I love my babies, but I don't think there's any bigger stressor in life than being stuck for life with your abuser or with someone who you would just rather forget, with your rebound. There's kind of no greater curse in life. So, little sidebar, don't have babies with the wrong people. Do everything in your power to prevent that pregnancy, and really be sure, listen to your gut, even if you're married, before you have kids, and ask yourself, do I really want to have kids with this person? 70% of the time, the answer is going to be no. But what's the purpose of all these wounds, right? Because eventually, I get to a place where I, was kind of living the roster life, where I was doing the popular thing of like kind of online dating and having, a person for this, person for that, checking boxes, when what I really wanted was a committed partnership, but it didn't feel like that was out there. So it's like, I guess and I was lonely. I didn't really feel like I could connect with people. So it's like, yeah, I guess I'll just check these boxes, but that doesn't work. So it's like, I learned, kind of how to step away from that. And then finally, in my early 30s, met someone who could truly witness me. But even this partnership with my husband now, who I love, who has truly witnessed me, meaning like seen my soul and helped me discover my soul, even though I finally found love, it did not come easy, right? Like, it came with a psychopath, who's tried to destroy our lives at every turn. And so, and sure, even in that, like I've had to become something pretty formidable to deal with it. But it's like, even when I finally found love, it was never just easy or simple. Now, what is easy about it is being with my husband. I love just being with him. It's not like it's not the being with him, that isn't easy. It's the bullshit of external circumstances, that makes it not easy. But I just couldn't help but think about this today when I was just thinking about, people who just have never really experienced heartbreak. What is that like? And what do we do with these wounds when we do have them? Because like I said, I don't just have one heartbreak wound. I have several, as many of you probably do as well. What are these wounds meant for? What can I heal, in myself and others from this like cycle after cycle of just heartbreak in different forms, all in different forms? Because I've had so many just damaged partnerships over the years. And that's where my wound is. So part of what I want to know from you is, what has heartbreak taught you? Who have you become because of heartbreak? And is heartbreak something that we need? Does it help us grow? And there's some experiences that I would never want to have again and that I wouldn't wish on anybody when it comes to heartbreak. So where does that fall in the mix too? Where is this balance? Because I think everybody deserves the simple life that it seems like some people get, right? Like everybody deserves to find their partner if that's what they want. If it's a partnership that you want, everybody deserves to find that and to be witnessed, to be loved truly for who they are, for who their soul is, and to grow with that person. Everyone deserves that. And I think we all want that sort of simple life of experiencing life with that partner. But that's not the way it shakes out for a lot of us. And again, just what are we meant to do with that? I guess if there's one thing, if I am reflecting on it, that this heartbreak has taught me, it's taught me the value of myself, meaning it was through these failed partnerships that I also learned the ways that life has failed. And during this very, kind of revelatory, important moment, the kids that were screaming outside are now ringing my doorbell. I have no doubt you probably heard that, so great timing there. I'm just going to do my best to start over again. So if there's one thing that heartbreak has taught me, it's never just been about the one partnership that I was in. Every partnership that failed taught me something about the ways that the world is failing. And I think our partnerships, even though they're intimate, are also very reflective of our culture. And let me explain what I mean. I've noticed a trend lately with a lot of the podcasts that I used to listen to and don't anymore. I've listened to a lot of, I don't really listen to Jay Shetty so much anymore, because I feel like he's become really sort of commercialized in the way that he's focused on like just dating issues a lot. And dating issues, for people who really just kind of need to learn about themselves. And I think these dating issues have surfaced because of this quick click entertainment culture where people just don't really have depth to them anymore. And I mean people on all sides, because I think the number one issue with dating is that you have people who have learned some fancy words related to therapy talk and boundary setting, but some of those boundaries that they're setting are really just ways to avoid uncomfortable situations or to avoid being honest with themselves about what some of their maybe areas of growth are. Or people are frustrated because the dating arena seems so shallow, and there are a lot of shallow people out there, but we have a shallow culture. You can't expect depth when people are so addicted to scrolling and to TikTok and to all of these things. People are losing their capacity for depth, yet we are creatures of depth. So you have this deep longing for a partner to connect with someone, but you've cut off your brain's ability to connect, and so have they. And there's also a lot of numbing. Right? That's something I learned from partnerships too. When I numbed, I really didn't care about the pain I was causing. When I numbed myself to my own pain through distractions, mostly related to dating and related to just like, sometimes I would drink wine, just to kind of like not really, think of, I'd have a glass or two, in the evenings, just to kind of take the edge off of life, right? When I was numbing in that way, it didn't bother me so much anymore if I was hurting someone or causing pain. And these are kind of general ways of describing some of the things that I've learned from these partnership wounds, whether I was in a cycle of abuse or whether I was doing the roster thing. I learned that okay, this isn't just a problem with this partnership. This is a cultural thing. Because where do we learn about relationships? It's not just from our parents or caregivers. It's from our culture. It's from the media. It's from stories. And there's so many shallow stories out there. And so I suppose if there is one thing I am that is becoming clear with me as I speak to you right now, it's that to heal our partnerships, we have to heal our stories. We have to tell better, honest stories about what love looks like. And if you look at a lot of the partnerships that are shown in movies and on TV, it's very much this hero, self-sacrificial, obsessive type of love. At least that's what it was a lot, when I was a teenager with all these kind of, like when I wasn't a teenager when Twilight came out. I was in my early 20s when Twilight came out. So, but still, same thing kind of applies. Um, but there were all these 90s movies, right, about people becoming sort of obsessed with each other or women changing something about themselves, usually their appearance, and then getting the guy that they wanted, the guy that they needed, whatever. Our partnerships are very reflective of our culture. And so I think if we really want to engage in healthy partnerships of depth, we have to heal the stories that we tell people about what intimacy looks like. The biggest lesson I've learned, because it became clear with me, with my husband, because I've faced challenges with my husband. We both have done some toxic things in our relationship. We both have had to unlearn some bad habits. But I think a good marker for knowing when you and your partner are struggling with behaviors versus you're with the wrong person or you're with an abusive person is the person you're becoming when you're with them. Because one thing that has remained steady and true throughout this partnership that I've been in is I have continued to grow and love who I am and discover deeper parts of who I am that I didn't know were there. And part of the reason is because my husband saw them first. And he has this magical way of speaking life into who I am. And that has been true throughout our whole partnership because there's deeper things than our wounds. Our soul is there too. And you're with the right person if they see your soul and if you find yourself wanting to engage in growth. And I don't mean the easy stuff. I don't mean the, let's go on vacation and have some us time stuff. I mean the okay, this is a really shitty season that we're going through or a really shitty external circumstance. But I'm still becoming this kinder person, this braver person. I'm still wanting to pursue my dreams. If you're with someone that makes you want to pursue your dreams, that's a good sign too. But a lot of people have forgotten their dreams and they've forgotten who they are because of distraction culture, because of numbing culture, because of expectations about what partnership should look like and the material quote unquote security that comes with that. Right? That's where that settling piece comes in if people end up in the wrong partnerships because of certain expectations and then they're kind of just in it. So for me, I guess, all these different cycles that I've been in with heartbreak have shown me the wounds of the world and some of the tools that we maybe need to heal partnerships. And if I had to break that down for you right now, I would say, number one, we need to heal the stories we tell about what love looks like. And one of the most powerful sentences I've ever come across is one that said, love is something we become. And that hit home for me. Love is what we become. Love is this thing that we all crave, but it feels so elusive at times. But love is who you become when you remember your own soul. You engage in the brave growth needed to bring it back out, bring that divinity out. And as you're doing that, you will see that your capacity to help others do the same begins to return. When we put down the phone, when we set aside the drink, when we stop checking boxes and we start remembering, The things we loved when we were a kid, when we start listening to that part of our soul that's always talking to us again, that's when we become love. That's when we can create healthy partnerships. So we have to heal the stories about love that we tell. We have to pull the consumerism out of it and get real about what becoming love actually looks like. And what it looks like is growth. What it looks like is confronting challenging things. What it looks like is recognizing the unhealthy patterns that we've developed and replacing those patterns with growth, with saying the hard thing, with doing the hard thing, with confronting our own survivalist tendencies. And when we all get to a place where we just want to help others connect, then we're all not in survival mode anymore and we're not numbing anymore. So we heal our partnerships by healing our stories, by becoming love, by building systems where people don't have to stay trapped in cycles of abuse. That's the other thing we need to do to heal our partnerships, is create systems where people have the resources, meaning the money, the shelter, the legal resources that they need to be safe, so that we can break those cycles of abuse before they continue to be passed on to children who are just put back in homes with their abusers because they donated the egg or they donated the sperm. It's amazing to me that that's all that it takes, is just a biological, donation. And I call it that because there's some really shitty people out there who are just allowed to be abusive parents because of that biological connection. This is actually another lesson that I've learned from my partnership wounds. So I feel really sad when I think about my life, because I just turned 38. When I think about all the ways that the 12-year-old me, the 15-year-old me, the 21-year-old me, the 30-year-old me, and all the years in between was wounded. All the heartbreak that girl, that young woman, that woman experienced. I feel sad of like, how the hell did you make it through that? And then that, and then that, and then just when you thought it was over, well, then there was that. How the hell did you make it through all that? Well, fuck if I know. But I think if I had to guess, there was always something fierce inside of me, just like there's something fierce inside of you. Something strong enough to outgrow all the toxic lies of our culture and all the ways that we're told we should pursue partnership in selfish cycles. There was something fierce inside me that outgrew that and that learned how to be brave enough to recognize it and to hopefully help you experience the same. So I would love to hear from you. I would love it if you emailed me at jdill@lovingcreatively.com, if you have a story of what heartbreak has taught you. And I'd be happy to, share your story on the show if you're up for that. If you have an email, I can read your email, or maybe if you want to be on the show, we could figure out how to make that work and we could do a short interview. So just let me know. But I really am interested in pursuing this idea of what it means to be a wounded healer. What does that look like to carry our wounds and heal at the same time? Because one thing I'm certain of is cycles, right? It's never one thing then the other. We're all at once. So I wholeheartedly believe we are wounded healers, but what does that actually look like? What could it look like? What are some ways that we could build it? What are some ways that we can more actively heal wounds that we've experienced ourselves? What could it look like? And what has heartbreak taught you? I really appreciate you talking this out with me. I guess it's kind of a sign that I've come to really trust you because I this is how I shine, this is actually how I feel the most loved and how I feel the most witnessed. And it's the reason I fell in love with my husband is because I started a conversation that I never wanted to finish. I feel love and show love through conversation and connecting in that way. And that's what I'm doing with you here and now. I feel like I can do that with you. So I can't thank you enough for listening to me and sharing the energy that you share just by listening, because I can feel it. And as I said before, if you want to say more, reach out to me. Send me a message. It's also started to rain, and I don't know if you can hear that or not, but it's interesting how the chaotic screams of the children, sort of died down. And now there's this like peaceful, rainy mist kind of washing over my street as I record this. And if you can't hear it, I'll try to like wave the vibes your way because it is really, really beautiful. And I'm going to take it as a sign of a new beginning, especially one where you should definitely reach out to me. You should definitely email me because I love hearing from you. And you should definitely share me, as always. Share this podcast. Share this episode. Follow me. But in the meantime, thanks for coming.